In the most recent legislative sessions, one of our board members, Representative Brandon Creighton, authored House Concurrent Resolution 50, that the federal government respect the 10th Amendment. Please welcome Representative and TCC board member Brandon Creighton to talk about his bill in the 10th Amendment. Make him welcome, please.
Good morning. How is everyone? It's a perfect day to meet the challenges we face, correct? Today I want to welcome you to the 10th Amendment Town Hall meeting. I want to emphasize that we won't only be discussing the challenges we currently face here in Texas and across this nation, we'll also be exploring solutions on how best to restore constitutional rights for Texas. I want to thank all of you for being here and for being engaged in reforming our government. I also want to thank the Texas Conservative Coalition for organizing and hosting this event, and especially our featured speakers, panelists, and distinguished guests. Along with General Abbott, Governor Perry, I'm excited to see Judge Napolitano will be with us today. Judge Napolitano and I served on a panel together last month in Nebraska. It was Taking Back America, the 10th Amendment Symposium, and it was really interesting, and he did an outstanding job. The judge, General Abbott, Governor Perry have stepped boldly out front on issues we'll discuss today. As Ronald Reagan once said, if you want to win elections, don't fly a banner of pale pastels, but one of bold colors. Americans want to know where you stand on every issue of the day. President Reagan really got it right. We should not now or ever compromise our principles or waver on solving problems inherent in Washington, D.C. today. It was interesting to be in Nebraska in light of the recent media coverage for the Cornhusker State on the Nebraska Compromise. The words that I spoke of were centered around the term compromise, but the compromise that I spoke of was not limited to the Nebraska Compromise within the Health Care Reform Act in Washington. The word compromise I referenced dealt much more with where we stand as a nation on protecting the freedoms and values that's made our country the greatest in the world. The values which have instilled the courage and also have inspired those who framed the U.S. Constitution with the wisdom and foresight that continues to be even more relevant in this nation as the years pass. And as we struggle to breathe oxygen into the provision of the Constitution that establishes dual sovereignty. The 10th Amendment, which clearly states, and undoubtedly you'll hear it several times today, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Plain and simple, should we compromise the principles that have made this nation as great as it is today? Plain and simple. Last April, I filed the Texas Sovereignty Resolution. House Concurrent Resolution 50 was announced at a press conference Governor Rick Perry and I held together in front of his offices in the Texas Capitol with many state representatives you'll hear from today that co-authored the measure, as well as state senators who stood with us. At the time I filed the measure in Texas, there were 4 states that had filed a similar version. It hit the media with enormous positive response, and the Drudge Report the next morning reported it as their top story for major media outlet headlines in the country, receiving over 23 million hits in 20 hours. Yeah, thank you. Within 7 weeks, over 34 states had their own version in play. And today, with cap and trade, the Health Care Reform Act, buyouts, bailouts, and rescues, the state sovereignty resolution holds more importance and relevance than even last April when it was filed during the session. What's the ultimate benefit of the state legislatures passing these resolutions? Plain and simple. Congressional candidates run on anti-Washington sentiment. Once they gain office, something in the water in D.C. leads them astray on fiscal responsibility. And don't get me wrong, we've got some good ones, and they need some help, and we'll hear from at least one of them today. But under Governor Perry's leadership in Texas, we've weathered this turbulent economic storm with resilience and successes. However, we have much to fight for and much to protect, correct? We'll never again regain financial strength for this great nation until the states are allowed to operate free from the intrusion of bad federal overacting and interference and just an overall bad playbook that Washington plays by. We'll never regain the success intended for this great union until we have office holders in place that respect and honor our Constitution. Isn't it amazing that the very city that holds that cherished document is the same city that day after day continues to ignore it? Thank you again for being here today, for being patriots, for standing up for Texas. At this time,